It's time for your quick hits. Let's go through the three sections. Give me just who's going to be the winners of these games. Starting section one, Hempfield playing Warwick, traveling to Warwick for this one. Who do you like?
Yeah, Hempfield really needs a win here. They're 11th in the district power rankings right now. They're pretty solid. I think they could probably afford another loss, but they'd probably rather not have to find that out.
Right.
They've had a good season quietly. Their only losses are to Penn Manor, Wilson, and Mannheim Central. So those, if you're going to lose, those are the teams you're going to lose to. Yeah, I like them here. I think they're just a better team on both sides of the ball than Warwick. I think they leave with a win.
Manham Township had a tough loss last week to Wilson. I think they probably bounced back. Let's get your opinion. They play McCaskey this week.
Yeah, teams have gotten healthy at McCaskey's
unfortunately.
expense all season. Red Tornado has lost 11 straight dating back to last year.
Oh.
That's the longest current active losing streak in the league. And, I think Manheim Township comes away with a win.
Last win in Section 1, Lancaster Catholic traveling to Cedar Crest. Both teams come in 3-5 in the section. 3-2 now for Catholic. They've been on a little bit of a roll.
Yeah, they've lost 2 in a row. They've won 3 straight. Now they've lost 2 in a row. They lost to Wilson 2 weeks ago, and then a disappointing loss to Hempfield last week, in which they really the score got close at the end, but they were getting blown out in that one. They're still in the playoff hunt in AAA, though, so they need a win here. Right now they're 15th in the 16-team field. If the playoffs would have started, they probably want to get a higher seed, though, because right now at number 15, they're probably looking at Mannheim Central in the first round. Mannheim
That's not a good
Central's the
matchup.
second seed, so if they want to avoid that matchup, it would behoove them to win their last 2 games and hopefully move up a little bit. And I think they will. I think they knock off Cedar Crest here.
That'd be great for the fans, but not great for them.
Not so great for Catholic, no.
Let's jump down to Section 2. Kakaako traveling to Elizabethtown. Kakaako's 7-1 overall. Etown, it started off strong, but man, they've been on the wrong roll here.
Yeah, they've been steadily declining as the season's gone on. They're kind of out of the playoff run in Quad A, and they're out of the hunt for a section title, obviously. Kakaako, they can hope for a miracle that maybe Mannheim Central loses. They're only a game out of Section 2, but really I think their focus got to be on the playoffs now. They're 4th in AAA in the power rankings. They can still conceivably move up a slot or 2, which would get them an even juicier matchup in the first round. Their offense ranks 3rd in the league. I think Etown they're a decent defense, but not great. Right. And Etown's had trouble moving the ball. Kakaako has a really good defense, so I think the Eagles win it.
Interesting. Conestoga Valley going to Mannheim Central. The Barons have been on quite a roll all year. Yeah. Are they going to keep it going?
Yeah, I think so. They can clinch at least a share of the Section 2 title with the win on Friday night. That would be their first since 2009, which seems weird given how dominant they've been in Section 2. This has been one of those rivalry games that everybody likes to talk about. But, when you look at the numbers, in the last 25 meetings, Central's lost once. That was in 2006.
Okay.
And that was the last time that CV won a share of the title. You think of the Jim Cantafio years when he and Mike Williams had a good feud, and Jared Novak had some run-ins with Mike Williams over the years in district playoff games too. But Mannheim Central hasn't lost this game very often, and I don't think they're going to lose on Friday night. I think they roll here and win a share of the section title.
Keep on going. Ellis going to Lebanon. Ellis has been playing pretty well lately. Are they going to keep it going here?
They have. They've had leads in their last 2 games. Now, they've lost them both, but they were beating Mannheim Central for a while, and 4 days later, they were beating Kakaako after 3 quarters until Janice went crazy in the fourth quarter.
Sure.
Yeah, Ellis is a good team. This is actually a pretty interesting matchup. It's putting 2 of the better quarterbacks in the league against one another. Ellis has Mark Piles. He's a senior, has been starting 4 years. He's 2nd in the league in pass yardage, and it's just had a brilliant career at Lebanon. The emerging up-and-coming star is Colin Shank from LS. He's only a sophomore. Started all of the games last year as a freshman. He's 3rd in the league in pass yardage right now, and had a pretty good game against Kakaako, even though he was picked off 3 times. Yeah, it should be a really good matchup. I just think, Lebanon's defense has really struggled all year. LS has a better defense, and their offense is comparable.
Right.
So, yeah, I think they're going to the matchup favors them. I think they're going to win it.
Pioneers are going to win. Solanco got their first win last week. They're going to Ephrata. Congratulations, Mules. Ephrata's still looking for their first one. 0-8 on the year. What's going to happen here?
Well, it's now or never for Ephrata, because they get Kakaako in week 10, and I don't see them winning that game. So if they're going to get a win this year, it's going to have to be this week. Solanco's as good a matchup as Ephrata's going to get. Solanco struggles to move the ball, so does Ephrata. Solanco's been playing better in recent weeks, though, and they finally broke through last week. I think the momentum there is going to mean a lot to them. Sorry, Mounts, but I think Solanco is going to win 2 in a row here. I think they get the win.
I don't think it's going to be a very pretty game. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Let's go down to Section 3. Colombia at Garden Spot. Who do you like?
Yeah, this has playoff implications for both teams.
Okay.
Colombia is currently out of it in the 4-team single-A field. Garden Spot would not qualify in AAA if the playoffs started now, so they need wins, and then they got to hope they get some help. Both teams do, really. Yeah, I just think Garden Spot's been a little more consistent on both sides of the ball all season long. I like their matchup here. I think they're going to win it.
Interesting. Northern Lebanon against Donegal. Donegal, I was surprised they lost last week.
Yeah,
a non-league game.
That raised my eyebrows, too. They lost to Schuylkill Valley, and it wasn't very close. And, they had won 4 straight going into that one. I thought they were kind of on a roll. I can't explain it. It's just one of those weeks, I guess. But, Donegal's not in the playoffs now either. So
that was a tough loss.
They're in first place in Section 3. They can focus on winning the Section 3 title, but they need wins, and then they need to, like Garden Spot, to hope for some help. Ironically, they're ranked lower than Garden Spot in the power rankings, even though they beat them. So,
interesting.
I do like the matchup here, however. Donegal still has a really good offense. They've been, just running over all the Section 3 teams they've faced, and I think that'll continue. I think they knock off Northern Lebanon here.
Indians back in the win column.
Sure.
Anvil going to Elko. What do you like? Lebanon battle here.
Yeah, and this could set up a big matchup in Week 10 because Anvil gets Donegal. So they're only a game behind in Section 3 right now. They're 3-1 in the standings. So they could, if they win this one, they could get a share of the Section 3 title against Donegal in Week 10, or at least have the opportunity to play for it.
Make it interesting.
And I think they do. They've been playing really well all season, really. They've lost 5, but 4 of those games that they lost were single-digit losses. They've been in every game, and they finally got it turned around about 3 weeks ago. They won 3 in a row. Elko has a really good weapon in Cameron Strauss, who's one of the best backs in the league. They have one of the best offenses in the league, but the absolute worst defense. They're giving up more than 400 yards a game. And I just don't like the matchup there. I think Elko goes into Myerstown, I think Anvil goes into Myerstown and comes out with a win.
Could be a high-scoring game.
Could be.
Non-league, Hamburg going to Pequay Valley. Do the Indians get back? Do the Braves get back in the win column here?
Their margin for error is down to 0 now. If they want 5 wins, they got to win their last 2. And honestly, I don't like the matchup in either one of these. Hamburg's no Titan. They've lost 3 in a row and 4 of their last 5. They were kind of like PV. They started off hot.
Strong.
They won their first 3 games. Then came the helmet swinging incident and all that controversy. They haven't really looked all that great since. Their only win in their last 5 games came against Kutztown, and Kutztown's only win in the last 3 years was a forfeit. So, it's not like I think Hamburg's going to just roll over Pequay. Having said that, PV's lost 5 in a row, and it's been on merit. They've been turning the ball over like crazy. They got to stop that if they want to have any hope here. I just, I think there's some negative momentum affecting them, so I like Hamburg in this one. I think the Hawks are going to come in and get a win.
Tune in each week to get Keith's quick hits here on Lancaster Online.